tonight the next President of the United States, Hillary Clinton. How happy I am to be here with all of you. I have to thank Anna, Raphael, and Gary from the bottom of my heart for sharing Damien's story. A young man who loved our country so much, he enlisted to defend and fight for us. He lost his life, his parents, his teacher. We're here tonight to remind us that Damien, who gained his citizenship after his death, was a true patriot. I certainly know that he will be on my mind and in my heart, and I hope on yours as well. Because what makes us great is we are the country that has taken people from everywhere in the world, and we all become Americans, and we love America, and some even fight and die for America. I want to thank everyone for being here, but there are a few people I want to mention particularly. One, a dear friend of mine who served the people of Arizona with dedication and grace, the wonderful Gabby Giffords. I'll tell you, she has been by my side along with her wonderful husband, Mark Kelly. I am grateful for her strength and her support. She turned an evil deed, an act of senseless, hateful violence, into a clarion call for us to stand up against that kind of behavior, those sorts of actions, join together to help save lives and prevent further deaths and injuries. And I am particularly pleased to be here at this great university. There is so much to admire about ASU. The world-class education, the student body that reflects the diversity and talents of our great country. I'm told that the class of 2020 is ASU's most diverse class ever. And listen to this, more than a third of the students here are the first in their families to go to college. You are proof that the American dream is alive and big enough for everyone. On a personal note, I have to say my husband and I were sad to hear of the passing of your former governor, Rose Mofford. Now, Rose will be remembered for her passion for public service and also for that great beehive hairdo. It was larger than life, just like Rose. And speaking of great Arizona governors, I want to mention someone who's not here tonight, but who's been campaigning for me across the state, your former governor, Janet Napolitano. And it's a great pleasure to be here with Congressman Ruben Gallego. And I will have a little more to say about her later, but it's also exciting to be here with someone who I hope will be your next senator, Congresswoman Ann Kirkpatrick. And thanks to all the other elected officials, and that includes those who represent the Navajo Nation and the Gila River community. You know, my friends, there are just 6 days left in what may be the most important election of our lifetimes. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to vote? Are you ready to volunteer? Are you ready to elect Ann Kirkpatrick to the United States Senate? She will be the independent voice that Arizona families deserve. And unlike her opponent, she's never been afraid to stand up to Donald Trump. Are you ready to elect Paul Penzone? I think it's time you had a new sheriff in town, don't you? I think you know that Paul will serve and protect all the people of this county, and he will follow the law, not his own ideological agenda. And are you ready? Are you ready to choose our next president and commander-in-chief? I've spent my career fighting for children and families. When I was First Lady, I helped create the Children's Health Insurance Program, which takes care of 8 million kids every year. As a senator, I worked to rebuild New York City after the 9/11 attacks, to make us safer in our country and to provide health care for the brave first responders. And as your Secretary of State, I traveled to 112 countries, negotiated ceasefires, reduced the threat of nuclear weapons, stood up for human rights, women's rights, LGBT rights around the world. And everything I've done has only been because I'm willing to listen to people. People with all kinds of points of view, different experiences and expertise. Those who agree with me and those who don't agree with me. Because I think when you're in public life, you should try to find common ground in order to solve problems together. I am not interested in perpetuating gridlock. I believe we've got some great opportunities in America that will give us the kind of future that all the young people and students here tonight deserve to have. I really believe that's the only way we're going to get things done. That is the way a democracy is supposed to work. And if you elect me next Tuesday, that's exactly the kind of president that I will be. I will get up every day in the White House and work my heart out for you. I will bring people together, not just those already in Washington, but people from across America, people who have ideas from the private sector, from labor, from academics, from the profession. I want to know what works, and we're going to do more of it in America. From the first day of this campaign, I've been putting out the ideas that I have about how to help you and your families get ahead and stay ahead. And I truly believe you deserve a candidate you can vote for, not just someone to vote against. But if we're going to make this choice next Tuesday, we need to be clear on what the choice is. Because, one way or another, come January 20th, America is going to have a new president. And some people say, well, what they want is change. Well, let me tell you this. Change is certain. We will have change. The question is, what kind of change are we going to have? Are we going to build a confident, optimistic, inclusive America that will make us stronger and fairer and better? Or are we going to hunker down, afraid of each other, afraid of the future, and go backwards instead of forwards? That is the question about change. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask your friends, your family, your neighbors, to just think for a few minutes. Imagine it is January 20th, 2017. And imagine it is Donald Trump standing in front of the Capitol. Now, you know, this is a thought exercise. Imagine he is taking the oath of office. And then imagine what it will be like to have him in the Oval Office making the decisions that affect your lives and your futures. Imagine having a president who demeans women, mocks the disabled, insults Latinos, African Americans, Muslims, POWs, who pits people against each other instead of pulling us together. Someone with a very thin skin, who lashes out at anyone who challenges him, who praises adversaries like Vladimir Putin and picks fights with our allies and even insults the Pope. You know, the fact is, we really don't have to imagine what it would be like, because everything he has said and done, both in his career and in this campaign, is a pretty good preview of what's to come. If Donald Trump were to win this election, we would have a commander-in-chief who is completely out of his depth and whose ideas are incredibly dangerous. Someone who wants more countries to have nuclear weapons and who could easily insult a foreign leader, or maybe, heaven forbid, start a real war instead of just a Twitter war. Imagine having a commander-in-chief who does insult prisoners of war, calls our military full of brave and dedicated patriots like Damien a disaster, insists he knows more than the generals, and attacked a Gold Star family whose son died a hero in Iraq. Or for that matter, imagine a president who has promised to have a huge deportation force to round up millions of immigrants and kick them out, knowing that that will tear families apart, but it will also hurt our economy. And the only way it could be done is literally sending law enforcement officers house to house, school to school, business to business. My friends, that does not happen in America, and that will not happen in America. But why would we be surprised? He came to Phoenix and reiterated his position about deporting 11 million people, I guess loading them into buses or on trains, including their 4 million children who were born in this country, because his top advisor on immigration is Sheriff Joe Arpaio. The person who presided over the worst pattern of racial profiling by a law enforcement agency in American history. And just last week, Sheriff Arpaio was officially charged with criminal contempt of court because he refused to stop racially profiling Latinos. Now imagine Donald Trump appointing the sheriff, our next Secretary of Homeland Security, to oversee the massive deportation force. Well, that shouldn't be surprising because he doesn't really see Latinos, even those who've been here 9 or 10 generations, as fully American, does he? He went after a distinguished federal judge born in Indiana, whose parents were born in Mexico. Donald said the judge couldn't be trusted to do his job because he was, quote, a Mexican. But he was as American as Donald Trump, as American as you and me. And that is a great blind spot because Donald Trump doesn't understand that. And then imagine a president who thinks the lives of all black people are crime and poverty and despair. He has no idea about the strength of the black church, the vibrancy of black businesses, the excellence of historically black colleges and universities, the success of black leaders in every field. Imagine a president who wants to ban every Muslim in the world from ever coming to the United States on business or for a vacation. I never figured out exactly how that would be. Would we have our customs officials at airports be giving all of us who come through some kind of religious test? A country founded on religious freedom? That is contrary to our Constitution, and that is absolutely unacceptable. Or imagine a president who insults Native Americans, says organized crime runs rampant on reservations, and mocks Senator Elizabeth Warren by calling her Pocahontas again and again. Now, no matter who we are, this matters to us. Because even if you're not Latino, or African American, or Muslim, or Native American, or an immigrant, or a POW, we Americans don't like to see people treated like criminals, or traitors, or strangers because of their race, or their religion, or their ethnicity. That's not only contrary to who we are, but we're smart enough to figure out that if you have people in authority who are going to be insulting and mistreating some folks, it won't be long before maybe they're going to be mistreating you too. We've had so many examples of that in history. We could look just at the terrible history of the 20th century and see that. So please, remember, we now know who Donald Trump is, but that is not who we are, and that is not who America is. And please, just think about what happens if we were to win to women and girls. It would mean that our girls would grow up with a president who proudly and loudly ranks women by their looks, including the only woman running in the Republican primary. Remember what he said about Carly Fiorina? A distinguished woman with a tremendous record of accomplishment. And basically, Trump said, nobody will vote for her. Look at her face. He brags about doing things to women without their consent. Just imagine what that would mean to girls and women. What it could mean to the sense of self-worth that we want our young women to have. And imagine how it will affect our boys. To have a president who talks and behaves like that. We want our young men and our young women to respect one another and to understand what that means to be a respectful person. So, for anyone, and I know there are a lot of them, for any voters out there who are planning to or maybe already here in Arizona have voted for Donald Trump, that is your choice. I respect that. That is how it works in a democracy. And contrary to him, I don't think it's rigged. I think you're making a choice, right? But here's what I want you to know. Even if you're not for me, I promise I will be for you as your president. All I ask is that you really think about the kind of person he's shown himself to be and how he treats people he doesn't like. How he's used every trick in the book to get out of paying taxes. He says he's worth billions, but he contributes zero to our military, zero to our veterans, zero to our highways, and zero to everything else in our government. Think about that, because this is who he is, and that won't change if he's elected. Because we know that the presidency doesn't change who you are, it reveals who you are. And the debates that I had with Donald Trump? Well, I've got to tell you, I mean, I had 3 debates. I stood there on the stage for 4.5 hours with him, proving conclusively I have the stamina to be president. But in that last debate, he said something truly horrifying. And that was that he wouldn't say he would accept the results of the election. Now, I have been privileged to know former presidents and people who run for presidents, both Republicans and Democrats. And I have to tell you, no major party nominee has ever said that. So stop and think for a minute. This is his final target. Our democracy itself. He is questioning our institutions. We have been around for 240 years because we have learned how to work with each other. And boy, it's not always been easy, has it? But we've kept moving forward toward a more perfect union, expanding the circle of opportunity, creating the greatest constitutional democracy in the history of the world, the greatest economy that has served as an engine of growth and opportunity. And he stands on a debate stage and undermines that, refuses to acknowledge how great our country already is. So that is the choice that will have to be made. He has shown us who he is. Now we have to decide who we are. And right now, across the country, people are doing just that. They are rejecting his dark and divisive vision. We know that America is big-hearted, not small-minded. We want to lift people up, not tear each other down. Because we really do know we are stronger together. That's always made the biggest difference in how we move forward. And here's what I want you to know, if I am fortunate enough to become the next president, if we win this election, it's going to make a real positive difference in your lives. If you're having a hard time paying for college, we're going to make tuition at public colleges and universities like this one free for millions and millions of families. If you're struggling with student debt, we've got a plan to ease that burden, cut your bills, and help you pay it back even sooner. If you care about building an economy that works for everyone, not just those at the top, then we're going to have the biggest job creation program since World War II. We are going to invest in infrastructure, advanced manufacturing, technology, and innovation. And yes, we are going to combat climate change with clean, renewable energy jobs. And I want to be the best president small business has ever had. We're going to create and help small businesses grow. And in addition to growing our economy, we're going to make it fairer. I believe we should raise the national minimum wage. People who work full-time, and I believe in work. I come from a family that had a hard work ethic. My dad was a small businessman. So I believe you work for what you get in life. But I don't think we should have barriers and obstacles in the way of people who are trying to get ahead. And for people who work full-time, to still be in poverty doesn't move them and their children toward the middle class. It keeps them locked down. So Donald Trump doesn't even think we should have a national minimum wage. That's a big difference between him and me. And you know what? Finally, we are going to guarantee equal pay for women's work. And, you know, this is not a woman's issue. This is a family issue. This is an economic issue. If you have a mother, a wife, a sister, a daughter, you want her to be paid fairly. And too often that is not what is happening. I also believe strongly that we need more technical education in high schools and community colleges so that young people have more than one way to get ahead and be successful. So it's fair to say, well, that all sounds really good, but how are you going to do it? Well, you know, in one of the debates, Donald kind of made fun of me because I do believe in preparing. I actually think fail to plan, plan to fail, that old slogan. And I also believe in making lists. Now, this may be a woman's thing. We make lots of lists, right? I have this picture in my mind of a big list on the White House lawn. Get the economy working for everybody, not just those at the top. Check! So here's how we're going to do it. I will not raise taxes or sign any effort to raise taxes on anybody making less than $250,000 a year. Because you know and I know that the wealthy, the millionaires and the billionaires and the corporations are the ones who've gotten all the gains from this economy. So we're going to make the wealthy pay their fair share. And we're going to make sure Wall Street never threatens Main Street again. And you know, somebody says, well, you know, how are you going to do that? Well, it will really help if you send Ann Kirkpatrick to the Senate. So we've got some allies to go after the wealthy and their tax breaks and their tax hedges. I mean, we finally found out in the debate that Trump hasn't paid income tax for 20 years. Because he claims to have lost $1 billion. And then when questioned about it, he said, well, that just showed how smart he was. And you know, I've been pondering that. I just don't know how smart you have to be to lose $1 billion running casinos, for heaven's sake. So we have a plan, and we have a way to pay for that plan that does not add one penny to the national debt. By contrast, the only economic plan that Donald Trump has put forward is to cut trillions of dollars of taxes for millionaires and billionaires and corporations. And, you know, when you haven't paid taxes for 20 years, it almost seems like he wants us to pay him. Because how can he get any more tax benefits than he already has gotten? We need to end the gimmicks that allow somebody to fly around in a private plane and a helicopter and live in a penthouse and not pay a penny of federal taxes. Every one of us paid a lot more than he does. And one of the points that I made in that last debate, which maybe didn't get enough attention, is that one half of undocumented workers in America pay federal income taxes. So, you know, about half the people he wants to deport, they've paid more in federal taxes than Donald Trump has paid. And then there's the issue of climate change, which he says is a hoax. You know, we're already seeing the effects of climate change. And I have a plan to increase renewable energy, create millions of clean energy jobs that can't be exported. They've got to be done right here in Arizona and across America. prepare for the effects of extreme weather. We're going to create more resiliency while we try to get ahead of what will be a very big challenge for our country and the world. Now, if you care about immigration reform, I will fight to pass comprehensive immigration reform with a path to citizenship, to keep families together, to keep our economy together. If you care about LGBT rights, he wants to undo marriage equality. But we know that in a country built on freedom, everyone should be free to marry the person that they love. If you care about the 33,000 people who die every year from gun violence, well, join Gabby Giffords. Join people. The majority of Americans and the majority of gun owners know we need to take common sense steps to reduce gun violence and save lives. And if you care about workers and the right to organize, he has tried to block a union in his hotel in Las Vegas, that hotel that he made with Chinese steel instead of American steel, by the way. He put Chinese steel workers to work, not American steel workers. Well, I'm going to stand with people who have a right to have decent wages and good benefits to get into the middle class, because when the middle class thrives, America thrives. And if you care about women's health, he wants to defund Planned Parenthood. I believe women should be able to make their own health care decisions, and I will defend that right as your president. On just about every issue that matters to any American, and our lives, and the future of our country, there is such a stark difference. And I just ask you to look at that, to think about it, to really search your heart about what kind of country we are and what kind of country we will be. You see, I don't believe we're at our best when we stoke fear about each other. That doesn't mean we have to agree about everything, of course not. But it does mean that we have to be willing to listen to each other. We have to be willing to come together to solve the problems that we face individually and in society. You see, I don't think I have all the answers. I don't think anybody has all the answers. When Donald Trump at his convention said he alone could fix everything in America, I thought about our founders meeting in Philadelphia. According to the history that I was taught, it wasn't one person, it was a group of people. I thought about every social movement, every economic advance. It wasn't one person. I thought about great universities like this, and the faculty and the staff and the students that they draw together. It's not one person. It's everybody working together, contributing your talents, your skills, your ambition, your energy. That is my experience in America. That is what I know works best in America. But I can't work with you and others unless you do what I hope you will, and that is to vote. More than 31 million people, more than 31 million people have already voted early. That includes more than 700,000 people right here in Arizona.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until recently.
And you know, as the political pundits like to say, this state is in play for the first time in years. Arizona has only voted for a Democrat Democrat for president once since 1948, and that was my husband in 1996. One of the many reasons Bill and I love Arizona. So for the first time, we have a real chance to turn this state blue again. And here's the bottom line. I want to be a president for everyone, Democrats, Republicans, and independents. Americans of every race and faith and background. Because I think we deserve a president who understands that our diversity is one of our strengths. Look at the world in the 21st century. We have it over everybody as long as we get our act together and make up our minds that our best days are ahead of us. So Arizona, you can make a very big difference. You can vote early through this Friday, November 4th. If you don't know where you're supposed to vote, you can go to iwillvote.com to confirm your voting location. We are on the path to the biggest turnout in history. We now have 200 million Americans registered to vote, the biggest number we've ever had. And that includes more than 50 million young people. Let's make that the story of this election. Not the insults, not the bigotry, not the hateful rhetoric, but that America came together, that we decided to vote for the kind of optimistic and confident, unifying vision of our country. And we would love to have you be part of the last days of this campaign. You can go to HillaryClinton.com and volunteer or text JOIN, J-O-I-N, to 47246. Because I don't want any of us, not just me, I don't want any of us to wake up 1 week from today and think, oh, if only I had done a little more, things could have turned out differently. Sometimes the fate of the greatest nations comes down to single moments in time. This is one of those make or break moments for the United States. And it is in your hands. And when your kids and grandkids ask what you did in 2016, when everything was on the line, I want you to be able to say, I voted for a better, stronger, fairer America.